Okay, let's talk about emerging markets. Earlier we had Zeb telling us about the expensive ones. Now emerging market stocks, well, they fell from their most expensive levels since they peaked back in October 2007. The price-to-earnings ratio of the MSCI Emerging Markets Index now trading above its 10-year average. And just yesterday, China's H-share index, which comprises mainland companies listed in Hong Kong, it fell along with stocks in other developing markets such as India, Taiwan, and Hungary. But these so-called frontier markets in Asia, South Africa, also America, they have held their gains and in fact are among the best performers in the world so far. Now take Sri Lanka, for example. Its benchmark index is the 8th best performer in the world this year. That's in US dollar terms. And stocks have surged after the country's military defeated the Tamil Tiger separatist group, ending years of civil war. Now Sri Lanka wants to get about business and attract investors such as George Soros, Mark Mobius, and other big-name investors to put money into the country. And it plans to offer derivatives trading and urge its biggest companies such as Dilma Tea to sell shares. Former hedge fund investor and author Jim Rogers also said that he prefers Sri Lanka over India, saying it offered great, cheap opportunities after the end of the civil war. Let's get more on these opportunities in Sri Lanka. We have Ajit Gunawardena, vice chairman of John Keells Holdings. And John Keells is Sri Lanka's second biggest company by market value, a conglomerate with businesses ranging from hotels to financial services. And he joins us today on the line. Ajit, welcome to the program. Let's talk about your first quarter profit. It actually fell 22%, but you had a record year in 2008. So let me ask you about 2009. Now at the end of the war, also the global economy showing signs of recovery. How does this year look in comparison?
Well, we are looking at this year in a very positive manner. I mean, the first quarter obviously was still coming out of the whole conflict because the conflict was just over in the middle of May. But the key indicators are going to be in the third and the fourth quarter, which begins in October and closes in our financial year closes in March. And we believe, based on all indications, that the momentum of the economy, plus in areas such as tourism, there's going to be a significant pickup. GDP growth, which was originally projected to be about 2 to 3%, it looks like it's going to close closer to 6%. And the momentum is going to continue into next year. So we're looking pretty optimistic and positive.
Yeah, sounds like it. So how do you play on this significant pickup in economic growth? I mean, where are the best opportunities now for your company in Sri Lanka?
Well, the quick win is going to be in one of the dominant areas that we have invested over the years, which is tourism. I mean, tourism, for obvious reasons, over the last few years has got hammered badly. But even in a global downturn, we see the indications are very, very strong going into the peak period of winter, which begins around November. And we believe that, in fact, we could have a situation where the entire capacity of hotel rooms will get taken up from December into April. So that's going to be a quick win. And we are well poised in this area with close to 1,800 rooms in Sri Lanka, with 2 5-star city hotels, which are already showing signs of picking up. One of our 5 hotels right now is under refurbishment, and the other one is actually running at 80% occupancy. So things are looking very positive, and that's an area of continued growth and investment.
Yeah, you mentioned tourism, and that along with transportation, also property projects. These businesses actually account for about 60% of your sales. What about government investment in these specific sectors this year? Do you think that's going to help at all?
Well, government is looking at, and we've been having a lot of dialogue with the government. Government is essentially looking at the private sector leading the way in these particular areas of investment, in the whole transportation side with port development, property development, and tourism is going to be driven by the private sector. The government's focusing on the base infrastructure. There are significant investments going into roads in the rural areas of Sri Lanka, because we've got to upgrade the whole road network, which has been neglected for so many years due to a lack of investment. And that's already begun, and we've already seen sort of quite significant improvements. So government is going to focus on the sort of core investment, the superstructure, as it were, of the country.
Okay, well, Ajit, is your company, John Keel's, going to maybe win any of these new government contracts to better the economy and better infrastructure?
We will be focusing actually on our core activities. Our core activities are in the transportation, property development, retail, supermarket chains, and tourism. And we believe the infrastructure that the government will be putting up, that we will be investing in these areas, and that's going to be the growth momentum for us.
Okay, well, we talked about a lot of big-name investors looking to maybe invest in Sri Lanka, Jim Rogers among them. Let me just ask you this, Ajit. Is your company in talks with any overseas companies or investors looking to invest right now in Sri Lanka?
Yes, I've actually just returned from quite an extensive roadshow. This we do after our annual results are published, which it was a couple of months ago, and I've been visiting Singapore, Hong Kong, London, Scotland, Boston, and New York, and the interest that has been elicited out of a whole host of investors, some who have known us for many years but had sort of dropped us due to the conflict and the sort of negative sentiment, but now are certainly very, very interested in looking at us, has been quite significant. And essentially, what I can see is the capital is ready to come into the country. The projects have to start kicking off. And I don't think there's going to be a shortage of investors.
Okay, Ajit, you care to name any of these?
I would rather not at this stage, but you mentioned some of the names.
Okay, which ones?
No, earlier on you did mention people like Mark Mobius. I mean, we've known Mark Mobius for many years. I mean, obviously they've been looking at the country, and having Templeton has been doing quite a bit of research into the country, we've noticed recently, but several others as well who have
Okay, Ajit, nice talking to you today. Good luck with your projects. Ajit Gunawardene of John Keel.